Hello everyone and welcome to Nervous Nessie. This is day 8 of my Wizard of Oz trip. I am in Chicago and today I slept in a little bit, grabbed some Starbucks on the go, and I took the green line from the Loop area and took the green line all the way to Conservatory Central Park Drive, I think is the stop. And then just a short couple-minute walk is the Garfield Park Conservatory. And it is worth coming out here. It is on the west side and it is a little bit of a long train ride compared to some of the other ones in more of the tourist areas, but it is worth it to come out here. The conservatory is huge. It does kind of remind me of the National Botanical Gardens in Washington, D.C. It is a lot bigger than the Lincoln Park Conservatory. I would say that both are equally good in their own way because, yes, the Lincoln Park Conservatory is smaller, but it is right next to the zoo, so it's kind of a two-in-one deal, whereas the Garfield Park Conservatory is a lot bigger and also worth coming to see. It is free to get into the conservatory and you have to make a reservation. Same thing with the Lincoln Park Conservatory, you have to have a reservation. The reason they do that is so that it creates a more peaceful environment. You can walk through at a slower pace and not be surrounded by large groups of people, which is nice. Now, I made my reservation for noon, but I got up and came on out and got to the conservatory at 11. So I was an hour early, and I asked them, you know, hey, I know I'm here early. Do you think I can go on in? And they were like, absolutely. They were like, we're not that busy. Go ahead and go on in, which was nice because it means I'm not just wasting time and I can actually go ahead and see it and pack even more into my day. Right now I am sitting at a park that is across from the conservatory. I don't know if this is actually considered Garfield Park. I would imagine it would be. There is a little bit of traffic going by and there are a good amount of very, very large geese around me. So when you do come over to this park, watch your step. The geese are free roaming and they don't care, and you might step in something you don't want to. But yeah, I really liked the conservatory. They have a labyrinth in there that you can walk, which I did walk. It was nice because no one was at the labyrinth when I walked it, and I was able to kind of clear my head, which is hard to do especially when you're traveling, because you think of everything that has happened on your trip, everything leading up to your trip, and everything you need to do after your trip. But it is nice to have a space where you can kind of clear your head. They have a children's part, a part of it is for the children. They have an outside playground area, and they do have an inside playground area, but right now it's under renovation, so you couldn't actually bring your kids into that area. But yeah, I would say definitely it's worth the train ride to come out. Train ride was about 30 minutes, so it wasn't too bad. Right now I am going to head back into the Loop area. I think I'm going to go to, or try to go to, the Planetarium. When I came to Chicago last year, one of the people that I met here did do the planetarium and said it was worth going to it. You have to get tickets, and they have different ticket options. They have where you can just go into the museum. They have where you go into the museum and you can see one show. They have where you can go into the museum and see 2 shows, and all of those are different tiered prices according to how much you get to see and do. I'll probably go and just do both shows. Might as well while I'm there. So yeah, that's my plan. Right now it is 11:50, so I made it through the conservatory in 50 minutes, and I kind of took my time. For me I took my time, because usually I go through museums and stuff like this pretty fast. I walk fast and get the shots that I want, the pictures that I want, and move along. That's how I'm able to cram so much in. But I am going to get onto the train, and I wanted to show you guys kind of this area. So this is the park area, and then this is the Green Line train, and on the other side of the street there is the conservatory. So that's how close it is. You get off the train here and just walk to right there, and then if you want to continue the peaceful ambiance, you can come over to this park. And looking on the map and just looking around, this park is pretty big. You can see the train. So I'm going to get back onto the train, head back into the loop, and then try to go to the planetarium. I think I could take video and pictures in the museum, but obviously not the shows. So we're gonna see what the planetarium is like. I am sitting on the grounds outside the planetarium. The planetarium is this way. I'm gonna swing the camera around. So there's the planetarium. And behind me is the ever beautiful Chicago skyline. So a little bit about the planetarium. The tickets, my hair is just gonna be in my face. I give up. The tickets to get in, the ones that I purchased was, and I'm gonna look at my phone here, it was $35. It included the ticket to the museum itself, and then the ability to watch 2 shows inside the planetarium. The first show, and you get to pick different shows, the first show that I picked was Skywatch Live. That show is kind of geared more toward kids. There is a little bit of clean adult humor in the show just to make it entertaining for adults, but it is more toward the kids. And then the second show was Destination Solar System. It also is kind of geared toward the kids, but the graphics for that one was a little more advanced. And then for an additional $20, right now they have a special showing of the dark side of the moon. And basically what it is this year it's the 50-year anniversary of the release of the album Dark Side of the Moon by the band Pink Floyd. And the band basically partnered up with various planetariums and came up with this show. This show is shown at very select planetariums around the world. Apparently there is only a handful, like I think 3 in the United States, 3 planetariums that's showing the show. If you are a Pink Floyd fan, definitely want to go see it. It was an amazing show. Pretty much what they do is they play the entire album. It is in full surround sound inside there, so you know, you're hearing sounds bounce across, and it's just amazing. And then of course the graphics do have to do with space, but it is kind of, if you're a Pink Floyd fan, you will not be disappointed. And I will say that if you partake in greener substances, you might want to do that before watching the show, because it would make it a little bit more enhanced. But if you don't, which I do not, it still is well worth it. It is very Pink Floyd centric, so you will appreciate it if you are a Pink Floyd fan. Now, when I got here, it was about 1:15. Purchased my tickets. You have to purchase your tickets in advance. You go online. I did it just outside the front door of the planetarium. They have a QR code you can scan, and then you go through, pick what option you want for the tickets. Now, the show times for the various shows, because I purchased the ticket where I got the 2 free shows, I chose the times for my shows. I chose 1:30 and 2:30, and then for Dark Side of the Moon, for that show, I chose 3:15. And once I got in, luckily there was no line to actually go in, but the lady informed me, hey, the 1:30 show is about to start, so I basically made a beeline straight there. As with any planetarium or big theater like that is domed, you want to sit on the back rows. Luckily, I did get on the second to last row. That show was over, and it lasted about 30 minutes, so I had 30 minutes to explore the museum. There's 3 levels to the museum. You have the first level, the ground level, then you have one below that, and that's mostly restrooms, and then below that level is the 3rd level, and it's where the 2 free shows are shown. So once the show was over with, I basically kind of breezed through that same floor, which was the 3rd floor down, and then it was time for the next show. Once I went to that show, as soon as I got out, I ran to the restroom and then went up to the 1st floor, the top floor, because the show, the Dark Side of the Moon, is on that floor. And then went in there, watched the show, and by the time the show was over with, the planetarium was closed. So I didn't even get to see the museum on, like, the exhibits on the 1st floor. And I was a little disappointed in that, you know. I was kind of like, well, at least, you know, give like 15 minutes or something to do a run through, but no, they were closed. So the exhibits on the 3rd floor were really interesting. A lot of historical artifacts and stuff in there having to do with astronomy. So if you are an astronomy buff, that's kind of neat. Even a history person like me, I was very appreciative of the artifacts that they had in there. But it's not as intense of a museum as, like, you know, like NASA or anything like that. It's just astronomy in general and space exploration in general. But if you're coming to the planetarium, and especially if you have kids that you will want to take your time going through and looking at the exhibits, this is almost an all-day type of thing to do. And like I said, I was in there about 1:15 to 4 and didn't get to see like half of it. And I breezed through museums, so. But it is worth it to come here, and especially if you do happen to have the opportunity to see the Dark Side of the Moon planetarium show, it is worth it. It's an additional $20, and it is worth it. So right now it is a little after 4, almost 4:30, and I don't have anything planned. It is a little bit of a hike for me to get back to the hostel, so I think I'm gonna head that way. On my way over here, I decided to not take the bus over. I got off the train and then walked instead of getting off the train and taking the bus. And once I got over into the museum area, which this whole area is kind of the museum area, I ended up getting some nachos. They had a stand there. I'm gonna look on my phone to make sure I tell you the correct name of this place. Del Campo Tacos. I got the Mexican style nachos. They were $15. And then I got a drink as well. So altogether it was about 20 bucks. But it's in a tourist area. You can kind of expect that. There were other food options, but nothing that I really wanted. I do have my leftovers from last night back at the hostel. I'll probably eat that for dinner, but I think what I'm gonna do at this point is just take my time and go back to the hostel, walk back to the hostel, and just take in all of the scenery of Chicago along the way. And then call it a night. I might shoot one more video before going to bed, since this is the last full day of this trip. So yeah, I'm going to slowly make my way back to the hostel, and if you're in Chicago, check out the Adler Planetarium because it's actually really cool and educational.